Welcome to Bicycle Garage Indy's Finding Rideable Bicycle Routes. Thanks for joining. We had quite a few people who had registered, so we'll see how many show up. Since right now we don't have a large group, feel free to put any questions that you might have during the presentation in chat, and I will cover them as we go along. And the presentation and a resource of links that are in the presentation, I will also share afterwards with everyone, as well as a link to the presentation. So hopefully everyone is seeing the poll. I'm going to end it in about 1 minute. Make sure everybody can get to all the questions. There are 6 questions. So I wanted to do this poll just to get an idea of what types of information, what types of routes people were looking at. But it's also a series of questions that you need to kind of think through before you start looking for rides. Like, what type of bicycle rides are you looking at? Do you want to be on paved trails, on the road? Do you want a mountain bike? Are you looking for a good commuting route? And all sorts of other types of rides. I didn't put gravel in there, but gravel is also another option. Do you like to ride with others or by yourself? Sometimes people like to ride by themselves. It's a way to get away from things, but it's also, I find it fun to ride with other people, and bicycling can be very much a social activity as well. And then, how adventuresome are you? A lot of times people like to ride where they're familiar, but then that gets kind of boring to do the same route over and over. And so you might want to check out other rides that are nearby, or ride familiar routes, or explore totally new areas. And then, what lengths of rides are you interested in? Short rides, longer rides, an all-day ride, a weekend ride. All of those are things that you can look for and find with the resources that I'm going to share with you. And then one of my favorites is to either start or end, or have something in between for ice cream or food or something. So, if you like to ride to destinations, if you kind of know a destination you want to ride to, what are some good bike routes and good bike friendly areas to get there? And then, especially on longer rides, it's important to know whether you want to have food during the ride, after the ride. Sometimes if you're in areas where there's not a lot of support, you might have to take food on your own, all of that. So I'm going to end the poll and actually get started with the real presentation. So, and then I'll share the results. So we have quite a bit of variety. So most people like to ride to destinations, like to have food at the end. A lot of people do solo rides, but also some do family and friends and group rides. So lots of variety. All right, so I'll start from scratch. So I'm Connie Zabo-Schmucker. I'm Advocacy Director at Bicycle Garage Indy. I work on programs and projects to get more people on bikes. Bicycle Garage Indy recently started a club account, or a shop account, on RideWithGPS. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that and how you can find routes within RideWithGPS, as well as some other resources to find places to ride. So let's see. There we go. Okay, so I covered the polls. So we're pretty much, people like to do a variety of things, which is great, because hopefully I'll cover most of that in the resources. So caveats to finding rideable routes. So a lot of times, event rides, like large rides, will post their rides on things like Strava or Ride with GPS. Those usually have more support than you'll find if you try to do that route on your own. For example, the night ride is the large ride in downtown Indianapolis at night, and it is supported by police at all of the different intersections. So that's probably not a good ride that you would do on your own. The B&O Bicycle Tour is also a very good ride. It uses the B&O Trail, but it goes out in the middle of country where there is no food support. During the ride, they have SAC support, but so that if you use their routes, you would need to bring your own food. And Hilly 100, same thing, because when they have their rest stops, those are in fields that are only used for rest stops during Hilly 100 weekend. The rest of the time they are fields that don't have any food and don't have any water. So you kind of have to make sure that if you're going to look at an event and use that route, that you're more self-sufficient than you would if you were doing the event during the event time. What other people find rideable may not match your definition of rideable, and it greatly depends on your experience of bicycling in different conditions, whether it's traffic, amount of support, all sorts of other, if it's a hilly ride, that sort of thing. And then the rideability will also vary depending on the time of day and the day of the week. Some rides that are great during the weekends, during the week are not great, and vice versa. So, these are caveats to think of to make sure that you're looking at a ride that you're going to want to do. So I mentioned Ride with GPS, and they have free starter accounts where you can record your own ride and create your own routes and create goals and create collections of your rides. And you can also, if you create your routes, you can upload and sync those to GPS devices like Garmin devices. You can download the files and put it on your phone, and then you get turn-by-turn instructions with the GPS devices. And there are additional features with basic and premium accounts, so I'm going to show those. So the starter account's free. You can do all of that stuff. Then the basic account gives, move this over here, gives a lot more features where you would be able to do turn-by-turn navigation on all routes, a mobile route planner, a global heat map, live tracking, offline maps, and print custom maps, and advanced turn-by-turn instructions. So there's a lot in the basic, and then there's additional with the premium. So go back to my presentation. But if you join Bicycle Garage Indy and Ride with GPS, and there's a link right here, you will get some of those basic membership that are additional to the free starter account. So you would have access to free offline maps and turn-by-turn voice navigation on all of our routes, using the Ride with GPS app that you can load up on your phone for free. You get some TCX file, advanced turn notifications, and you can also download PDF maps and cue sheets. Those are normally only available on the paid accounts, but if you join for free on our shop account, then you get those paid things for free. So it's a good benefit to do that. And then I'm going to now go back to Ride with GPS. Go back. And so in Ride with GPS, you can do a bunch of different things. You can explore, and I'm hoping everybody sees my screen. So in Explore, you can click on a, you can look at all of these different routes. You can give filters. Trying to see what. So let's say I want to do a 20-mile ride. So I can do anything less than 23. And I want it to be paved. And I want it to be routes. Rides are what people have done. Routes are also, there's a difference between those within GPS. I want a loop route. And I think that's all I want to do. So done. And if you notice over here under results, it gives 568 routes and it does it by 10. So each one of these, like if I click on this, it'll highlight it on the map. If I click on the mural, it'll highlight that one. If I go to this, it'll tell me what route that is. Let's say I want to do this route. It's close to where I want to live or want to ride. And you can click on that and it'll bring it up. And it will, you can get the full results with all of the different, and this happens to be one of BGI's routes. So you would be able to send it to a mobile app and get turn-by-turn instructions while you're riding it. You can see the full cue sheet. And you can also download that and print it. You can also send it to your mobile device and more export options here where you can download them and send it to a GPS or a cue sheet or a map. So there's a lot of options with that. So that's under Explore. The other thing that's kind of cool is, let's say you're going to go to Crawfordsville for the day and you want to know what bike routes are around Crawfordsville. So you can just click on anywhere in the map and show nearby routes. And lo and behold, there's a whole bunch of routes that you can choose from. And if you're going out of state, you can do the same thing. You can, let's say you're going to Columbus, Ohio, you can go there and click on Columbus and see what routes are available. So there's a lot of different ways to find routes within Explore. Then there is Route Planner. Let's say you want to ride with a bunch of friends and you want to plan a route for all of them to follow. So then you can go in here and easily, so I'm going to start from Bicycle Garage Indy downtown, and I'm going to go to the Monon Trail, and we're going to go up to where it hits Fall Creek Trail, and we're going to use the Fall Creek Trail all the way back to where it hits the Cultural Trail and come back using the White River. And then go back. And so I now have an 11-mile ride. I can name it, I can save it, and I can add it to my routes, and I can share it with other people. And, so that's a fun way to, quickly get that. You get the cue sheet automatically. You might want to check the cue sheet to make sure that it's got everything that you want on the cue sheet, not extra turns. But that is a really quick, easy way to create a route and then share it with others. And let's see what else I wanted to show you about that. Okay, so then you can also, so you can create routes, and the maps also shows the trails. Notice I clicked on trails. You can also do it on roads as well. And All right. The other thing that you can do, and I need to get out of this for a second. Back to there. All right, so back in Ride with GPS, you might notice that this is my account. So if I go to my profile, I'm a member of two clubs. So I'm a member of Bicycle Garage Indy shop account, and I'm also a member of SEBA. And one of the cool things, if you are a member of SEBA, and I'm going to go to their account, is that they have, and also I'll show it on BGI, they have a route library that has tons and tons of routes of what their members have done. So you can click on any of these, it'll show you the route when you do that, but you can also do the map view and see what routes they have available there. And notice, there's 257 if you click on this. And if you click on this, I'll do one that doesn't have that many. You do that, then it'll show you all of the different routes that start in this general vicinity and all of the different routes that start there. So there are a whole bunch of different routes that you can look at and download and explore to your heart's content. Go back. So I'll go back to Bicycle Garage Indy. So Bicycle Garage Indy has also, we have some challenges right now. We've got one challenge up for between now and the end of May for 100 miles. We'll be putting challenges up through the year, depending on the month. We'll have different things that we might want to highlight. We also have a route library. We have about 40 rides in our route library, and you can also look at them in the map view and click on where they are and what areas. The other thing that we have are collections. So we have in each of our stores, we have ride center rides. So there's 12 routes that we've put together that have cue sheets, and all of the routes. If you join our club account, you get turn-by-turn instructions from all of the routes in our route library. But these are all in the shorter realm for just exploring different areas. So we've got Eagle Creek, Fishers, Fort Harrison. These are all routes that also we have ride cards at our stores for that you can pick up and use the QR code to follow. The other routes that we've put together into collections are commuting routes and trail rides. And the trail rides are mostly all on trails. Not every single bit of it is on trail, but for the most part they are. And so if you're looking for a trail ride in the Indy area, these are some options that you can use. So that's pretty much what I wanted to cover in Ride with GPS. So the other thing that a lot of people know about. Oh, besides joining SEBA to get access to this extensive bicycle ride route library, they also have group rides that they support throughout the year during the week and also on weekends. In addition, they are the organizer of the Hilly 100 and night rides. So, good organization to support and to be involved with. The other program that a lot of people use is Strava. So a free account allows you to track your rides, gives mileage, elevation gain, map of the route that you just did. A free account also allows you to enter challenges. A paid subscription allows you to create routes. So that's in comparison to Ride with GPS, where a free account or a starter account does allow you to create routes. You have to be a paid member within Strava to be able to do that. And you can link Ride with GPS, your account there, to a free Strava account, and participate in the Strava challenges. And it'll automatically, it'll upload your ride from Ride with GPS into Strava, so you can track it 2 different ways. The one thing that I find really cool about Strava is that there is a global heat map. And the global heat map, what it does is it shows, and I have it on red is the most route, and most people using Strava have ridden the red. The blue are places where people do ride. As it transfers over to red, it's more popular. So you can kind of tell from this is a very popular route because a lot of people use it. This is pretty popular. This is a way that people get through these neighborhoods. This is town run for a mountain bike park. And this is Fort Harrison State Park, where the mountain bike trails are. So you can kind of tell where those are. So this is, I find it interesting to look at to see where people are riding and give some idea of where it might be a good way through this area. Like if I want to go from Allisonville and 56th Street to get up here, where are some good routes? So maybe going through this area on 65th Street might be a little bit better. Or 62nd Street, I'm sorry. And then this is the Monon right here. So you can tell that that's a well-used route, as well as this area over here. So it gives you an idea of places where a lot of people are riding. Now you do have to, caveat there, the people who use Strava may have different ideas about safer roads than you do, but if it's really red, then that's a lot of people are using that. Let's see. Next. So some other resources for finding routes are Bike Indianapolis Ride Guide. So their ride guide, Bike Indianapolis, is the local bicycle advocacy organization, and their ride guide shows all the different specific bike infrastructure. So whether it's multi-use paths and greenways or bike lanes, and where pacer bike share stations are, and whether it's a one-way bike lane, they're all color-coded, and they're all also legend coded for the type of, whether it's protected bike lane, 2-way bike lanes, 1-way bike lanes, all of that. So they have, you can also click on this. They have a more detailed downtown location as well, which gives you an idea. It's kind of laid out like a subway map if you've ever been to like New York City or Washington, D.C., where they have the subway maps. It's kind of like that. So it shows the different intersections that you will run across as you're going along these different bikeways. And I'm going to stop for a second to see if anybody has any questions. Don't see any in the chat, so I'm going to continue on. Indy Greenways has a whole web page that has information about each of their trails. There's a map of all the trails, but then on this page, you can get specific information like about this particular trail, destinations along the way, how long it is, connections from that trail to other trails, and kind of a detailed map for that. So you can, this is the Central Canal towpath that goes along the Central Canal, but it connects to the Monon, connects to some other routes along the way. And so all the surrounding counties of Marion County, Hamilton County, Hancock, Hendricks, Johnson, all have trail maps and biking maps. So, you know, I'll click on some of these just so you get an idea of the plethora of information there is. And like I said earlier, I'll share these share this with everyone. Hamilton County has a whole web page with all sorts of different mountain bike, or not mountain bike, but like Bike the Monon, has a county trail guide, a Monon trail guide, a White River Greenway trail guide, have city trails, and the city trails are also marked on the pavement and some signage, so you can sometimes follow them along that way as well. Noblesville Trails, White River Greenway Trail, Fisher's Trails. So there's a lot of, if you live up in Hamilton County, there are a lot of different trails and destination trails that you can use to get around. The Hancock County Trails also has a map, and the Pensy Trail is out in Hancock County, and it shows this is a map of all of the trails that are in that right now they have in Hancock County, and they're currently trying to bridge this gap here. And actually the Pensy Trail, they're trying to bridge this gap because there is the Pensy Trail over here in Marion County. So eventually you'll be able to go all the way from Marion County, downtown Indianapolis, all the way out to, I think this is Greenfield. And then hook into all of these trails over here. So there's a lot of trail connectivity that's starting to take shape in all of the different trails. They don't just stop at the county lines so much anymore. Johnson County, their trails are mostly in Greenwood and a little bit in Franklin. Their legend I found is a little bit misleading. Usually green kind of indicates a greenway, but actually it's these gray lines that are the multi-use trails and bike lanes, and the green are sidewalk connections. So it's a little bit misleading, but there are a lot of connectivity within the city of Franklin starting to shape up with actual bike infrastructure and not sidewalk connections. And then Hendricks County has quite a few options. So it has the B&O Trail and the Vandalia Trail, which each have their own website. And then they have a bunch of other different trails that they have throughout Hendricks County and Plainfield, Avon. So there are a lot of options in Hendricks County. I'm not finding the map right here, but you can click around. The B&O Trail has, or B&O trail.org site has updated maps. You can view their maps as to, and it's really good to look at their latest maps because they are updating this as we speak. They got additional trail, next level trail funding. And so eventually it's going to be all the way from downtown Indianapolis out west of Plainfield and west of Tilden. So there's a lot of the B&O, and then that also connects to some of the other trails along the way. And the Vandalia Trail is based in Plainfield, goes up to Brownsburg, and connects to through the Ronald Reagan Parkway to the B&O Trail, and goes, eventually once they're wanting the B&O Trail to hit the county line. And then there's also part of the Vandalia Trail from Ammo to Greencastle in western Hendricks County and eastern Putnam County. So eventually Ammo and Plainfield are going to get connected, and you'll be able to go all the way from Indianapolis all the way down out to Greencastle. Might be a nice multi-day, weekend trip. So lots of cool options. And northwest of Indianapolis are Boone County trails. So there is the Big 4 Trail, which is now getting even more connected from Zionsville through to up through Whitestown, Zionsville, Lebanon, Thorntown. They're all getting connected as we speak. There's a couple of parks along the way, which is great, where you can use the restroom and get some water and take a break. So there's a lot of different opportunities to explore that. And then this is a map of Colfax, or a story about the town of Colfax. And the trail map goes from Thorntown up to Colfax, and then down from Thorntown towards Lebanon. There's part in Lebanon, parts in Whitestown. So it's slowly but surely getting connected. And then Zionsville Trails and Pathways also has a map of all of the different trails that they have within. So the paved pathways are the yellow lines. The dashed yellow lines are unpaved trails. And then the gray lines are the paved roads. So they're starting to get quite a lot of connectivity with all of their paved paths. So if you're wanting to explore outside of Indianapolis area, some of the best places to find routes are to go to the local bike shop. They are, and that's true within Indianapolis as well. Ask the local bike shop, where do you ride, or where are the best places to ride? There's also Bicycle Indiana has a resource guide that has a list of all the different bike shops. They are updating it. 2024 is not quite out yet, but this link, even though it says 2022, actually goes to the 2023. And you can download the PDF, and a couple of pages near the back have all the listing of all the different bike shops. And bike clubs are also a great source. Long time ago, when I was looking for bike routes in other states, I would connect with the local bike club and see if they could tell me, if they had rides going on, as well as what routes they might suggest. One of my absolute favorite rides in Tennessee, I found out about because I contacted the local Tennessee club. And since then, that was over like almost 30 years ago. I've gone down there nearly every year just to ride that same ride. It's that awesome. So you find some hidden gems when you contact the local people. But there are, so Indiana DNR has a list of all the different bike clubs. And you can go see what club rides they have. You can see what fee rides they might have if you want to explore and have a supported ride, as well as just get information about where you can ride in their area. They're the best sources of information. And let's see. So finding rides outside, continuing. So the Greenways Foundation also has a list of Indiana trails. So if you're looking for trails in Indiana and you want to just drive somewhere and spend an afternoon exploring a trail, these are listed by county or the closest city or town. And so you can look at all of these different trails. So I'm going to look at, let's see, let's go to Columbus, or I mean Crawfordsville. And maybe not. We'll go back. Pretty sure this one. So down in Metamora, they now have the White River Canal Trail. So you can start in Metamora and go east towards Brookville and go west towards Laurel. They don't connect to the towns yet, but you can go out and back on either way. And then Metamora is a great little town with all sorts of craft and ice cream and fudge shops and restaurants and all sorts of fun stuff. So there's, you can, check that out after, before and after your ride. Check out the ride and check out the town. And if you want to really know all the different trails in Indiana, DNR has a trail finder, and you can use this interactive map and you can filter it and say, I want to mountain bike and I want to see where all the different mountain bike places are in Indiana. And then you can click on them and it will tell you what they are. It's not as wonderfully informative as some things that I would have liked. Like if you go ahead and do the filter on road bike and paved, it'll show you a lot more. This over here is the Cardinal Greenway, and this segment is 3.5 miles, but the Cardinal Greenway itself is like close to 60 miles. So you can go this whole long way on the Cardinal Greenway. But that gives you an idea of where they are and the names of them, and you can do some additional searching. Outside of Indiana, or even within Indiana, there are cross states and cross country rides. So there's what is called the U.S. Bicycle Route System, and it has routes throughout the entire country. And Indiana actually has quite a few of these designated routes. We have one that goes across the state, and we have one that goes basically from Northwest Indiana down to Louisville. and has this little loop in here. Well, it's not a little loop, it's actually quite big, that you can do as well. They have all sorts of routes that you can download, and this is also powered by Ride with GPS. So you can download these routes and load them up on your app and follow them turn by turn. So, and all of this data is accessible for free throughout this map interface. You would need an advanced Ride with GPS tool or a paid account to get the turn-by-turn instructions, but should be able to at least download the maps. Let's see. So there weren't a lot of people that were interested in mountain bike trails, but I'll cover them a little bit because they're really a great way to explore the state on bike. And if you want to be out in the woods and kind of out by yourself, it's mountain biking is a great way to do that. So where to ride? Well, first of all, HMBA is Hoosier Mountain Bike Association, and they are the statewide bicycle advocacy group, and they maintain and build the majority of the mountain bike trails that exist in Indiana. They have several different groups within them, like Indy, HMBA, Tippecanoe Mountain Bike Association, and Obannon Woods Mountain Biking. But these people go out and, if we had storms, if a tree falls and it's on the trail, they'll go out and cut the tree out as long as they know about it. They do a lot of great work as well as supporting the trails and making sure that they stay rideable all year long. Where to ride? IMBA is the International Mountain Biking Association, and you can go on their site and they have model trails designations and epic trails and ride centers. Brown County State Park actually is, I think, now designated as a ride center because there are so many mountain bike trails there, and they interconnect with the mountain bike trails in Hoosier National Forest. Brown County Mountain Bike Guide specifically has all the different trails in Brown County State Park and Brown County itself. And they're all color coded. You can download this. We actually have some copies of this booklet that they printed a couple years ago in our stores, and gives more detail about each of the trails and what to expect on them, which is a good thing. And then lastly is singletracks.com, which you can go there and find trails anywhere, any state. You can search by location. I did a search in Indiana and it says we have 102 mountain bike trails. So you can see all of them, and it'll tell you where it is and what city. You can click on it and find out more information about each of them and how to find it, what things to, what system trails there are, what things to expect, all of that. So singletrails.com is a great resource to finding mountain bike trails. And last but not least, riding with others. So I personally like going on photo bike rides. When I go on photo bike rides, I ride by myself and I just stop anywhere I want and I take a bunch of photos of nature. But a lot of times I'll ride with my husband, and we also lead group rides and for SEBA, Grand Touring rides. And so we like showing people different areas to ride in. We have a ride that we lead from Metamora, and we have a couple of rides that we lead from Columbus, Indiana. So it's always fun to ride with others as well, and have great stories to tell, and have great food at the end or during the ride. Bicycle Garage Indy has some upcoming rides. We've got some mountain bike group rides at Town Run Trail Park that are going to be on, I think it's, if I'm remembering right, Saturday morning and Monday evening. Uh, all of the information's on our calendar. Those are like every other week, so every 2 weeks, starting next week. And then Connie's cruise ride. So I'm starting my cruise ride back up in May. I'm going to do a monthly ride. We're starting at Scoop Shack, an ice cream place, and go to Fort Harrison State Park and come back and have ice cream at the end. So that's going to be on Thursday evenings, the second Thursday of the month. So if you want to have a group social ride, you can come out on Connie's cruise ride. And then, as I mentioned before, Central Indiana Bicycling Association has rides. Black Girls Do Bike Indy has a Facebook page, and they have rides frequently. You have to join their page in order to access their rides. Bikes United Indy, same thing. It's a closed group, but you can join it, and they often use ride on trails. For women looking to ride with other women, there is the IU Health Momentum Indy Divas website, and they have rides on Thursday evening and sometimes other times as well. They're connected with Momentum Indy, which puts on the Indy Crit and Mass Ave Crit in downtown Indianapolis. And I think that is all I've got. I just saw neighborhood rides that are starting up on the Near East Side. If you're active on Facebook, Central Indiana Bicycling Association has a Facebook page, and often people will post rides that are happening. And that's where I happen to see that one. Let's see. So this is my email address if you have additional questions, and hopefully that started you thinking about where you might want to ride. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and see if anybody has any questions. There's a lot of information about rides, and hopefully you'll all join Ride with GPS, BGI's shop account, because then you'll have access to some additional features that you wouldn't if you just used their free starter account, as well as get turn-by-turn instructions from all of the rides that we have put up. We have 40 different rides in Central Indiana area, Indianapolis, and some of the surrounding counties. So hopefully you'll find some great rides to explore, as well as different places that for food, or all sorts of different places. And all right. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. My email is, I'll drop it in the chat. And I'll drop the link to our calendar, so you'll see the other events that we have and other rides that we have. And like I said earlier, I'll share the presentation with all the different links to everything that I covered. So thank you very much. Have a great evening and keep bicycling.